Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm going to remember the authenticity as a basic need. I think that's really powerful. Okay, Eli and Krista, will y'all wrap us up with the intros?
Hello. Krista is
They, them.
doing, I think this is third round of bedtime. So she will be back down whenever Nico. I'm Eli, my partner is Krista. Nico is nearly 2 years old and just managed to climb out.
I feel like I could just be making this up, but I feel like this person owns a chest binder company that we've seen in like an episode, like a previous Vermont episode. I'm pretty sure.
Out of the crib. So we're in a transition phase of how we get to sleep. And Krista will come back down whenever that becomes feasible. In the meantime, my pronouns are they, them. Krista is she, they. Nico, we generally use they most of the time. We live in Brattleboro, Vermont, and we co-run Shapeshifters, which is a custom-sized chest binder company.
I told you! My memory is fucking second to none. I might smoke way too much weed, but my memory is second to none. It hasn't got my memory yet. Chest binder company in Vermont. I was right. $2, please. And the reason I know that is because they work with Outright Vermont. And they work with a company called Outright Vermont to put chest binders into school free of charge in the school nurse's office. I'm a goddamn savant when it comes to this stuff. Thank you, bot, for honoring the $2 super chat, even if it isn't a real super chat.
Which is relevant because it is by trans people, for trans people, and between our friends, our coworkers, our employees, and our customers, I could go a month without speaking to a cisgendered person. This is not... I'm pretty sure this is rare as a way of living, but it's sort of how it's happened for us. And our intensely well-connected trans and queer community up here in Southern Vermont, Northern Massachusetts, Southwestern New Hampshire, this area has
Stay the fuck out of New Hampshire.
The plague, running a business, having a child, all of it. We live with and by the grace of our community, and it's been really lovely. We both tried to get pregnant for a really long time, Krista and I, and I was not the first choice for either of us, but I'm the one who got it. So I spent a lot of my time in pregnancy talking and speaking and writing about how it felt and how I thought it was going to turn me into a woman finally, and it really didn't.
So a they, them got pregnant and now has a baby and runs a gender transition company targeting kids in school. I'm sure this is all just a coincidence. Well, no, Dan, it's a they, them. Okay, it's a they, them. We respect pronouns on this channel.
And I came out of it with less of a gender than ever. So now we have this child who, so far as we can tell, has not grown a gender yet. Nico's a COVID baby. They were isolated until daycare, which...
Children are growing genders now? Is that a thing?
Started last September. So it's only been a semester of daycare. And daycare is a deeply hippie ex-Waldorf Forest preschool that gets everyone's pronouns right. So far as we can tell, Nico hasn't grown a gender yet, and I'm hoping to spare them that for as long as possible. We'll see. Language is still an emerging thing.
Oh,
so who knows?
God.
But I deeply vibe with gender expansive parenting as a practice of giving your child freedom. There's so many things that you have to set as hard limits, as hard no's.
Gender expansive parenting is a way of giving your child freedom. Let's just break that one down for a second. Because we know, because Dr. Mary Bowman said it at the Socialism 2023 conference, that until capitalism is abolished, none of us can ever be free. Now, that's not the only person who's ever said that. They say this stuff all the time. They say, this is why Queers for Palestine is a thing, okay? People are like all confused on Twitter, and James Lindsay didn't explain this either. Why Queers for Palestine is a thing? Because they believe that the uprising in Gaza is their grand revolution against capitalism, because they believe it's decolonizing the land from the oppressive force of capitalism, which they deem the Israelis or the Jews to be the symbolic force of capitalism, the settlers, if you will. And so the reason that Queers for Palestine is a thing is because until they abolish capitalism, none of them are free. That's why that's a thing. It has nothing to do with how Muslims feel about gay people. It has to do with they believe this is an exercise in decolonizing the land, which means removing the oppressive force of capitalism. But let's apply it to what we just heard. They want to remove gender from their kids' experience because they believe that in removing gender of their kids' experience, that's how they'll truly be free. So why is that? Because they believe that capitalism created the gender binary. So by removing the gender binary, they are creating more freedom for their children or their babies. That's what they believe. Does that make sense to everyone? This is why it's important to understand these things. You understand where all these ideas come from. You understand how they all tie back to each other. This sounds like word salad to all of James Lindsay's fans. They don't know what any of this stuff means. But we do, because we know how it all ties together. And that's important to understanding and assessing what the actual problem is.
For your kids. No, you can't eat the lead paint. No, you can't drink the spoiled milk. No, 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 no. This doesn't have to be one of them. And the more freedoms that we can open up and the more gates we can open, the better.